Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first recap show of the RBL Talk Podcast. I have a guest with me today to recap the UEFA Champions League game of the Celtic v RB Leipzig game. Welcome, Jarrod.
Thanks, Justin, and it's great to be on with you this morning.
Thanks, mate. Just for everyone who is tuning in around at the moment, we're both two Aussies who really love our clubs. Jarrod is Celtic, myself is RB Leipzig. At the moment, it's 5:05 a.m. My time central in Adelaide, Australia, and Jarrod is over there on the eastern coast, where most of the countrymen live in Australia, and it's about what 5:35. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's. I think it's only those weird Queenslanders that I think half an hour behind us or something like that. I think, isn't it? Or do they still do that? Or
Yeah, they're the hour behind us, but it's
yeah, so
it's
half an hour behind me. Yeah, that's right.
yeah, you're fine. You're in the middle, but they're behind you. Yeah,
Yeah, how's that bloody work? Especially when they're on the other side.
anyway,
Yeah, very true, very true. Anyone that wants to get involved with the stream, please make sure that you do comment along. We are currently live over on YouTube, Twitch, and X, or I call it Twitter still, but apparently it's X. So make sure that you comment along and let us know your thoughts on the game, whether you are a Celtic supporter, whether you're an RB Leipzig supporter, or whether you are just a plain neutral. Well, let's get straight into it, shall we, Jarrod?
yep, sounds great.
What would you like to talk about first, mate? I reckon starting with the lineups.
Yeah, that's the best way to start, and then we could talk about the pre-game atmosphere as well, and that, and then just roll through the game. It's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, easy as then. Well, with pre-game atmosphere, I didn't really get a whole lot of pre-game atmosphere through the Stan Sport feed. So I think you would have been the same, unless you're just talking about the build-up when they walked out onto the pitch and the moment silence they had for the poor people over there in Valencia.
Yeah, that's part of it, but for me, it was also like from when we did the preview talk, like on the Celtic Down Under YouTube channel and everything in our podcast before. So we did the preview on my channel. We're doing post game here on your channel. But when we did that, there was like some stuff in the media where, like German media in particular, that I saw pre-game, which was saying, "Oh yeah, Celtic are a busted flush basically, and Leipzig's going to smack them by how much?" That's pretty much what I saw in the day leading up to the game.
Yeah,
So,
right. Do you still have copies of that? Because I haven't
on,
seen them. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome, man. Because no, I didn't see anything like that. I do know that the RB Leipzig podcast, at least, sorry, that's me. The RB Leipzig English channel did have saying that they're pretty much going to get 3 points, or how the post was written did seem a little bit in the way of, I guess you could say, discrediting Celtic. They just said like 3 points today, something along the lines of that. And I know a lot of Celtic fans were pretty I suppose I'm trying to be as kid friendly as possible. A pissy would probably be the most lax Australian term we could probably think of off the top of their head. Yeah. So what was this from? Was this from Kicker or was it from Bulleye or
Trying to find now.
no dramas?
Gone mental over it basically. Yeah, they were blowing up Deluxe. I can't even find that, because all I'm finding is retweets and everything on it from different things. But the fact that there's a no star Celtic was the latest follow up sort of stuff, and
No star. Wow.
I just love the fact that got the job done at the end of the day. So
Oh mate, you completely thrashed us all over the park after pretty much after the 30-minute mark, when you guys started getting your flow back after that conceding that first goal. It was all over by half time, mate. The team came out, Leipzig perspective, and just didn't really do much with it. But we'll get further into that as we progress. With the actual pre-game coming into it, the atmosphere was pretty nice. To not trying to make it put back on it and any retrospect. It was actually very good. You could bleed it was bleeding into the headphones, and I was waking the missus up bright and early. She wasn't too happy about it, but all those Celtic fans over there, they were just absolutely going bonkers. And I think it was less than 3,000 from what I said. Traveling fans for RB Leipzig, because I know that was what the traveling fans was from the last game of the top spiel when we played Borussia Dortmund. Like I said I'm pretty sure I said it on the Celtic Down Under podcast when I had a chat with you. I think it might have been only 1,000 or something like that. I think it was quite small. I know there was just a little block in the corner. I think it was near one of the goals, and there's a couple of flags over there. I'm not too sure if any of the official fan groups or anything went over there. I know Red Campus, which is one of the popular ones, they did a watch event that they've got like a pub or a place that they can all go to and whatnot, and I think they've got free entry and things like that over in Leipzig where they can go watch it. So they had that over there. So I don't think they were all traveling over there. If they did travel, let me know. It would be good to know. But what fan groups did you have over there in Celtic? Like, did you have any official fan clubs over there?
We got the two main ones that were there and were ever present throughout the game. You got the Green Brigade in the corner, which is your standing area with that's basically our ultras. They're singing the whole thing. They did the big tifo pre-game. And then you got another group of boys, and they're another standing section. And yeah, they both were there, both are in full voice, so it's pretty handy. I think you guys only had 900 tickets, 900 people in the stadium.
Yeah, it probably seems about right. Yeah, because it was. I think I heard 1,000. I think that's the maximum amount. So that might have been the available tickets, but it might not have been the full amount. Like as in that actually, got the tickets and went.
You can
So
you can
yeah,
blame Rangers for that because we used to be a lot more generous with the amount of away fans we'd give tickets to, and then they started playing games in the league, and then everyone just got a little bit more strict about it, and Police Scotland got strict, and basically everything got limited. So yeah, it's blame them.
well, I don't think actually Leipzig have ever played Rangers personally, but I've got nothing on them on anything good, so I'm quite happy to say that I can blame them anytime, mate. So,
I love
uh,
that he's played them in the Europa League either last year or the year before, and it's not memorable to you, so that is perfect. That
yeah,
is
I'm pretty sure we would have beaten them because I don't see fucking Rangers. Oops, so I swear it. Whoop, there we go. That's two Aussies having a chat and
after the
swearing.
5 mark, we're good.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. But I do actually have bleeps somewhere. I don't know where they are at the moment. I actually haven't gone to sleep after I finished work this morning at 2. So it's literally stayed awake all day. I haven't had the chance to do my full recap yet. I rewatched the first half this morning leading up into this, so that's still fresh in the memories. After that, yeah, probably you'd have to refresh my memory when we get into the second part of it. That's for sure. Uh, Anyone that's just coming into the stream, welcome along. My name is Justin Crozer. I am the host of the RBL Talk Podcast. I'm here with Jarrod, a fellow Australian who is the host of the Celtic Down Under podcast. Had a chat with him the other day. We did a recap, I should say a preview on his podcast, and now we're here to deep dive into absolutely everything we possibly can. We've got up to an hour, so we'll see how we go. We probably won't dribble on too much and bore the lot of you, so we'll see how we go. Is there anything else you'd like to say from the lead up?
Just the stock standard. Super proud of the Celtic fans for drowning out the Champions League music yet again as the teams walked on the pitch.
Yeah, I
That's
couldn't
something that
even hear it.
we do it every time, and any time I see it, I have a good laugh at it. So great job to those in the state.
Yeah, I literally couldn't hear it. Like I was waiting to hear it, especially as they were like shaking the circle, like the ball like thing they do in every single stadium around the world. And yeah, I literally could not hear it one bit. Well, what I will say is it didn't look like the captain for RB Leipzig, Willie Orban. He was in tunnels. He didn't look very happy. I don't know if that's just like his normal resting face or anything like that, but it just seemed like normally he's a bit more, I guess you could say, relaxed coming into games. He still played okay. I wouldn't say he had an absolute horrid game, but I mean, there wasn't really many Leipzig players that played well, especially in that first few. I don't know, 20 minutes was all right. There's about 3 decent people, but then after that, we just dropped off. And I think you guys we may as well get straight into what we saw. The first few minutes was actually really good. I was hoping that was going to be the whole thing for the whole game. You guys had I think you guys went on target first. Pretty sure it was Arnie Engels. They ended up having the shot that got blocked by young Chad Bishebu for RB Leipzig. Was a bit surprised that he started, which will, before we get into real deep into it, we may as well go through our lineups. I'll let you go first, Jarrod, from the Celtic lineup.
Yeah, so for us, we're leading into the game. The questions are always what's going to be our centre back pairing and what's going to be our midfield rotation. That was pretty much it. So there was a couple of little surprises for me watching the game, and pretty much told me what our game plan was going to be. So looking at it there, we had Kasper Schmeichel in goals, Alistair Johnson at right back, Cameron Carter-Vickers starting, but Austin Trusty started at left back, which is his natural. He's a left-sided centre back who's been playing right most of the season, with Liam Scales will drop to the bench. But the surprising one for me was Greg Taylor coming back into the team. He's been our starting left back for the best part of 3-4 seasons now, but he tends to play left back and inverts into the middle. So seeing him in that lineup compared to Alex Valle is more a traditional left back who gets out, hugs the sideline, and gets up and down. The fact that Taylor came in was making me think, okay, we're going to look to have him invert into the middle, play as a second number 6 alongside Calmac, with Callum McGregor, our captain, which is going to free up Engels and Hatade starting in the middle of the park to get more aggressive in the press. So that pretty much set it up. That pick there told me what we were going to be doing. So the midfield was Engels, Hatade, and McGregor. Hatade was the other question mark. He normally doesn't play 90 minutes for us. And on the weekend against Aberdeen, he played the full 90. So I was looking at that going, he deserves to keep his spot, but was he going to be a bit leggy going into the game? So I thought maybe Bernardo would come in for a bit more size. And as I said to you in the preview podcast, if Bernardo starts, we're probably going to sit back and be a bit more pragmatic. So the fact that probably would have been Valle out left, Bernardo in the middle, and we'll sit back and try and hit you on the counter. As soon as Taylor and Hatade are in the squad, I'm like, okay, we're going to press. We're going to go hard here. And then up front, it was just stock standard Kyogo through the middle, Mader on the left and Kun on the right. So overall, I was pretty happy seeing that lineup.
If you're a Celtic fan that's just joined in, just comment along wherever you are watching this currently on YouTube, Twitch, and over on Twitter what you felt of the lineup. We don't discriminate. And if you're an RB Leipzig supporter, also drop what your thoughts of with our lineup as well. So what you were telling me, Jarrod, before I just get into my lineup of the RB Leipzig lineup, you were shocked at two things. And what was more shocking for you, having the left back switch out, or having Hatate play the full 90 again? I think he played another full 90 minutes as well.
I wasn't shocked Hatate played the whole 90 this time around, because the way he was playing in the game, he deserved to stay on as long as he did because he kept contributing. So it was more Greg Taylor starting and Alex Valle coming off the bench. That was probably the more shocking thing overall for me leading into the game. I thought the form Valle's been in and the balance it gives us, I thought that would have been a better thing. But tactics-wise, it shows why I'm the armchair expert over here talking absolute rubbish on a Celtic podcast, and Brendan Rodgers is on the big bucks. So there you go.
That is very true. Our respective managers are definitely the ones getting paid and know a lot more than we do. We're just a couple of blokes all the way down in the Southern Hemisphere that, we're watching a game that isn't even our native code. So, but so was Taylor your actual original left back, or was he your makeshift, your backup left back, so to speak?
Oh, he's been our starting left back for the last 3-4 years, but we've always been wanting someone to challenge him for that role. Because I've always, in particular, I've said on the podcast a couple of years ago, he was very close to being our player of the year in Ange's last year at the club. So he's been a consistent servant, but the thing for him is in Europe, he tends to get targeted because he's really short left back. And when we played Real Madrid and when we played, I think it was when we played Dortmund, they target him. You get those big wingers on him and it's hit the ball over the top to a guy giving up 5 to 6 inches to the guy attacking him, and he just struggles. But so that's part of it. So he has been our main man. We've got Alex Valle on loan from Barcelona. He's doing He's been playing. It took him a little while to get up to speed, 2 or 3 games, and now he's doing well to the point that I like having the competition for every spot because it forces everyone to raise their standards. So, the way I look at it is we're lucky to have two starting level left backs.
Yeah, well, that's one position that RB Leipzig actually doesn't have a lot of depth in, is the left back position. So we normally just have David Raum, and I said at the start of the year, our squad is quite thin. We've also got a new injury to Latrell Gertruda as well, who's playing as right back, although he's normally a centre back. But I think Marco Rosa sees him as a more so as a right back, sort of he was the replacement for Mohamed Samikin, and he's gone down with what looked to be, I think it was an upper thigh injury. There's no news at the moment. It's supposed to have scans probably today sometime, or tomorrow for most people watching this at the moment, as we're at least 9 to 12 hours in front of most people at the moment, depending on where they are around the world. I think it's like 12:30 or something over there in America, and depending on obviously whereabouts you are. And then I think it's about 7 o'clock local time, Leipzig. It's probably what,
Now,
5 o'clock or something down there in Glasgow or something like that.
yeah, to
Uh,
be
something.
almost PM.
Yeah, sorry, mate, you cut out a little bit there. I couldn't hear.
Almost 7 p.m. over there in Glasgow.
Okay, so then that means it would be about 9 p.m. most likely in Leipzig then, if I've got my times right. So, because it'd be around about 10 to 9 hours difference in most of those. Well, going into the RB Leipzig lineup, yeah, look, Peter Galacci started, which I was always going to say if he was fit, he should have started. I'll get into his performance a little bit later as well. We started with going from right back to left back. We had Gertruda, Orban, Bishebu, and Henriks. And up the front, we did start with the 4-2-2 Red Bull formation. Haidara and Campbell started in midfield. And then up in the attacking midfielder roles, we had Antonio Nusa and Christoph Baumgardner. And then up the front for the two strikers, the combination of Openda and Sesko. And nothing was really out of the ordinary for me in that lineup. It was pretty much what I said before going into this match, that I think that we would have gone for experience first over anything else. The one thing there was young Chad Bishebu. He ended up getting a start next to Willie Orban. I did enjoy that he got the start. It's good to expose people like that. He's so young. To get him, exposed to that type of atmosphere, as he didn't actually start the game against Borussia Dortmund. I'm pretty sure he did come on as a substitute, if my tired memory comes to me about it. But having a look, the thing that I thought was the worst thing that I thought that we did was we let you guys like have the ball too much. The press was really well done from Brendan Rodgers' side over there in Glasgow, and I thought that you didn't really give us a chance, and that Bishebu, funny enough, who doesn't normally start, who got the nod from Marco Rosa, which is probably out of the whole entire night, would, for me, tactically wise, that's probably the best thing he did all night. Was start young Chad. And because we played out the back too cute. So for people that don't understand what I mean by being too cute, is that we just didn't clear our lines well enough. We played out from the back, we passed the ball, we turned it over so often, and this has happened on several occasions. We can't seem to play out from the back at the moment. So if it's not working playing out from the back, you shouldn't try and force it. Try something different. Especially if we're clearing the ball instead. Just sometimes clear your lines instead of just, trying to play out the back, being too cute. We'll go into players in a second, but how did you feel that from a Celtic perspective, how you played going from, let's say, the first, 45 minutes, however you want to break it down from?
Yeah, so in the first half, I thought it was a really open game for the first 10, 15 minutes or so. Like we said on the preview pod, the first 20 minutes was going to say a lot about the game and could have gone either way. Yeah, we got on top early, but we were getting shots and we were getting in the right position on the field, but then you hit us on the counter a couple of times and we had to scramble back in defensive transition to contain things. Schmeichel had to make a couple of saves, and it was. I got a couple of mates who were complete, like no skin in the game sort of thing, as I said to you, and like one's a Tottenham fan, one's a Dortmund fan, and they're just like, "Oh, that was a great game for the neutral." So the fact that we were both going at each other like that and just attacking, it was great to see. It was one of those games where who's going to get the first breakthrough, and we got on top as the game wore along, and up until that first goal, I thought we were the better team, and then you guys scored, and there's that 5-10 minutes after where we looked a little rattled, but we were pressing and we were trying to play one touch football up until that point, and it was great. And then we just got that gut punch from the corner where Carter Vickers tries to clear it, it flicks on. And as I said on our Monday podcast for the actual Celtic Down Under, not the preview one, I said we're going to win 2-1, and I said your goal scorer was going to be Baumgartner, so I actually called it. So it
Yeah, you
was
did, yeah.
so yeah, that goal in didn't surprise me with who scored it because yeah, I rate him as a player, and then yeah, we just looked a little like the one touch football backed off for us, and we started to go a bit more direct. Okay, let's just weather the storm. Let's not let you get a second. So we started to just clear the lines, just try and kick the ball longer up the field. And then once we got through that phase, for the last 5 minutes plus stoppage time of the half, we got back to what we were doing before you guys scored. And yeah, then the equaliser happened, and then completely butchered my timings and guarantee it. So what do we got here? Oh, no, I was right. Yeah, 35 minutes. He scored in 23rd. There we go. It was 10 minutes later. So yeah, we were. I thought the only player during that time when we were playing a bit of hoofball and just pushing it up, kicking it long was Kun didn't lower his standards and didn't try to play any different. When everyone else just was like, all right, let's just go back to backs to the wall and then get it on, and then off we went. Kun gets his goal, which is absolute worldy, and then yeah, off the back of that, everyone's like, all right, we're back, let's go, and foot on the throat again, and off we went.
Yeah, I'll get into the players over on the RB Leipzig side in a second. Welcome to new viewers just coming in and joining in. This is the RBL Talk Podcast recap show with Jarrod from Celtic Down Under. We're recapping the UEFA Champions League. I can see regular listener and contributor to the live streams, Ballum, has got some things to say, and he's got something for you there, Jarrod. So unsure if you can actually see any of the live chat over there, but I'm going to pop it up now. Celtic related, does Jarrod, welcome to RBL Talk, think Aberdeen will give them a real scare and even compete in their league for the title?
The thing with Aberdeen is I like what Jimmy Thalen's doing with their team. The style of play has changed a lot to previous seasons and previous managers. So they actually have a clear and obvious game plan and how they're going to go about things rather than, say, when Derek McInnes was their manager, what was happening was they'd be pretty attacking some weeks, and then when they'd play us or they'd go and play Rangers, they'd be a really super defensive. Where Jimmy Thalen's now got them out there going, all right, this is us, this is how we play, let's go, let's just get it done. So they push on and that. So over the course of a season, I think they're going to pick up a lot of points against the next tier down. So talking about the next tier down, they beat Rangers 2-1. Perfect. That's the next tier down. The teams under that, you're looking at your Hibs and Hearts are struggling. They're picking up points against them. Your teams like Motherwell and St Johnson and Ross County, they're picking up points against all of them. So currently in the league, it's us and them on the same points and neither team's lost in the league because when we played them, we were 2-0 up, and then we fell off a cliff basically, and they came back and tied the game. So, yeah, Aberdeen over the course of the season, they're going to keep racking up the points. I don't think it's going to they're going to challenge all the way to the end of the season. I think they'll fall off at some point, particularly when the split happens, like after everyone's played each other 3 times and it splits, and then they don't have those games against the bottom 6 clubs, and they've got to play us, Rangers, whoever else is left there. When they get to that point there, if they're still there or thereabouts close in the league, that's where I think we'll pull away from them. But yeah, I like what they're doing though.
Bellum's also got a couple more questions there for you as well, Jarrod. I think you are a fan of Brendan Rodgers.
Oh, that loaded gun of a question. I was a fan of him first time around. Just he could do no wrong in my eyes. He could talk and what he was saying, and I just lap up everything. So it would be like, oh, we're doing this and we're doing that well, blah, blah. And everything saying, I just hang on every word. Like, this guy is great. And then he left. The way he left for Leicester rankled me more than him actually leaving. Like, if he had said, I'm going to leave at the end of the season, good on you. 3 seasons. You've done well. Appreciate your time at the club. But the fact that he left middle of the night, basically, took all his staff, only 2 people stayed at the club, the goalkeeping coach and John Kennedy, our assistant manager. I didn't like that, and it put a lot of hurt there, and I was not a fan of him for a long time. I actually didn't want him to come back this time around. And it was more to do with the fact that I've openly said this, he was the best manager we could have got, but the way he left last time, I just didn't trust the guy. And then he was on a hard run. He was basically on a short leash with, I'd say, a lot of Celtic fans last season. We didn't play well. There was the transition from Ange's style to the way Brendan wanted to play, and it was really clunky and disjointed the way we played last season. And because of that, everyone's like, oh, we got the right manager, and you've got those sort of things going on there. So, yeah, it was a bit of a weird one with him coming back, but now he's back in there. He won a couple of trophies last year. The team is his team playing his style. I'm loving what I'm seeing this season, especially the last month or so. Since we got pumped by Dortmund, we've been pretty consistent in the league. We had some injuries, got players back, and it's just a really good rotation here that he's got going on, where it's a squad and we can rotate guys in and out, and we don't really lose much performance-wise.
Yeah, I don't think we'll mention Dortmund too much on this podcast today for both of us for that perspective. And Bellum does have also one more comment before we move on a little bit. And I know there is some more comments in the chat, which we will get to. Can Celtic qualify for Champions League knockout stages? A few wins and damaging 7-1 defeat. Bellum, you said it again. Borussia Dortmund, I must say, plenty of matches, even matches in January time.
I think it's doable. Let's be honest. It's the top 24 for the knockout stages. If we're looking at that point, for us, as I've said to you on the preview, is progress in Europe for us is to actually get to the knockout stages and then look to progress from there. So currently we're sitting on 7 points after 4 games. So if you get 10 points, you're pretty much guaranteed to be top 24 from all those simulations people run and all that AI stuff and all this sort of stuff. We're 3 points off that. So realistically, our upcoming 4 fixtures, we've got Club Brugge, we've got Dinamo Zagreb, we've got Young Boys, and then we've got Aston Villa. Aston Villa on the last game day, hopefully they've already qualified and they've rested players. So the next 3 games, they're all winnable for us. I don't see why we can't be looking to get around that, 12 to 15 points sort of mark at least in the rest of our qualifiers. And if we did that, if we somehow got to 16, we'll be on the door knocking there for that top 8. And I don't expect us to get that high and finish top 8. But if we were finished, say, 10th or 12th, we're going to have a home second leg in the knockout stage. that is absolute brilliant for us. That is progress for us. So there's plenty of time for that to happen. We just got to get the job done. If we play the way we did against you guys, there's no excuse.
Yeah, that's it. I've also got a stat here, a photo actually. I can't show it on the stream. It is from Opta Analysts, and it says the likelihood of making top 24 and top 8 of the Champions League phase based on the amount of points. Now, so for RB Leipzig to get anywhere, that's going to be, say, if we win 3 of our next 4, let's just say we do somehow miraculously rack up 9 points. That is 69% that we are even going to make the top 24. 8 points is 16%. And if we go obviously up to make the top 24, it says you need at least 10 points for 99%. And then it would be 100% for everything above that. And as you were saying, for the top 8, you have for 14 points, you have a 28%. 15 is 76%, and then 16 is 98%. So I reckon if you do get around that 14 mark, you probably have a sneaky chance.
Well, if we win those next 3 that I was talking about, Justin, we're currently on 7, 9 more. That's puts us on 16.
Yeah,
Which
well then there you go.
pretty much puts you there.
By that, yeah, that's it. If you've got any more comments, no matter who you are, if you're a neutral or if you're a Celtic or an RB Leipzig supporter, and you've got anything that you would like to say to either one of us or both of us, make sure that you drop them down in the comments below. Welcome to new viewers. And also, I think it's one of your followers there. They said, "Hi, Jarrod," from Strange Love the Doctor.
Okay,
Also,
finding us here.
we also do have some more comments from some regular listeners from RBL Talk, which I will get back to throughout the show as well. So please keep them coming. Moving it along a little bit, I'm going to go from the how we pretty much played, and I'll go from who I think our best players were, what I liked, what I disliked, and then I'll get you to do the same, Jarrod, and then we could probably even try and do a vice versa from the other person's perspective as well, and we'll just go with the flow from there.
Sounds great.
So for me, look, I'll go with what I liked. I always try to with the podcast. I go the good, bad, the ugly, but we won't be doing that today. That is coming up on a podcast episode that will be coming very, very soon. So what I liked though is I did like that we started with more experience, even though I also like that Chad got a pick to start. Down in the centre back role there. It was good to get him exposed to a world-class atmosphere and something that he wouldn't be used to very often. He actually, stacked up all right. I actually thought, as much as I love Willie Orban, he's my favourite player, I actually think Chad Bishabu actually played a better game than Willie Orban. I just felt he was a lot better with his clearances and just how he blocked and a few other things. Some of his distribution as well wasn't too bad, playing out from the back when we did do it. I also liked that in the first, I'll go first 5 to 10 minutes that both teams were end to end. That was really good. I was a bit disappointed that it didn't happen throughout the whole entire game, but you do come to expect that, we can't have a fast pace and have, 20 shots plus in a game for both teams. And we also got, I also liked that we when we scored that we tried taking it to you a little bit more as well, which I felt that we probably should have done besides a couple of breaks that we had early on. That we should have done a lot more, especially after we got that second goal after halftime, or just before halftime, I should say. I felt that when we came out in the second half that we were, I guess we started from zero almost, which in world football, you technically do. The rhythm stops. You're going to start everything from scratch again and go from that. But we didn't really go any further from the first 20 minutes. It's been one of those things, and like I said, depending on what RB Leipzig team shows up, it was the team that has been inconsistent and unfortunately just doesn't really do anything. They don't know if it's a mental thing that we're just thinking that we're just going to win because we're that good or something. When in reality, we're not that good. We're good enough in certain things, but we're certainly, especially in this new format, might not be good enough. Hence a horror draw as well. But to even get into that top 24, which will be absolutely shambolic, I guess you could say, for an RB Leipzig perspective. And then what I didn't like and what I hated, so to speak, hate is probably a bad word for it, but definitely what I disliked. That we basically just let you guys have the ball. Yes, we got outplayed on the press. We were out of position as well. I didn't like that we let you guys control the game. I know it's very hard to do that when you're going over to Celtic Park and big places in world football. I mean, but we went to Atletico Madrid, and this is no disrespect to Celtic and your fans, your podcast as well, and the stadium and all that. But if you're going to be able to go to another top team in world football and at the Atletico Madrid stadium at the Metropolitano, I'm going to get that out. Then we took it up to them. Why couldn't we take it up to you guys? So that's just some of the inconsistencies that has been happening this year. Some people have even said, is Marco Rosa the right man for the job after this game? There's been some talks from some people around saying that he should be sacked and things like that. And look, I've got some questions in the RBL Talk segment on the podcast this week that I'll touch into a lot deeper with some of those questions as well. But yeah, I just think that we took it too lightly. We didn't really want to win it. Morale was probably low already, knowing that we didn't score. So we've had one player and we didn't score any points, is what I was trying to say. And that was pretty much it. Once you guys were up 2-1, any team talk didn't work from Marco Rosa. We played a little bit better, but maybe for 5-10 minutes. And then after that, nothing. So no surprises there. And that's no disrespect to Celtic either. Like, you guys absolutely outplayed us. And it's not one of those cases where were we that bad or were Celtic that good? No, Celtic were good and we were also that bad. So it's one of those things where it should have been a cricket score almost for, us being down in Australia, and you guys probably could have easily been 5-1. So hats off to you guys. And Jarrod, I'll let you take it from there, from the Celtic perspective.
With what you just said, Justin, I just want to touch on two things before I go into the Celtic perspective.
Yeah, go.
I think you miss Xavier Simmons a bit more than I thought you would have. That little creativity and that outlet. And two, the old saying, you can only beat the team that's in front of you on the pitch. From a Celtic point of view, I look at it and go, was it really that you played that badly, or was it that we harassed and pressed you and made you guys play football in the areas of the pitch you're not normally doing? Because that's with our press, because that's what I thought it was. I didn't think you played that bad. I just thought it was we made you certain players have to run with the ball and make these passes that they're probably not doing. From what I've seen of you guys in Germany, our press unsettled your back line, which then completely ruined the flow through your team. So, yeah, I'll look at it that way. Like, I don't think you got your guys individually were that bad. It's just that as a team, you were unsettled, and our press had a lot to do with that. So, yeah. Anyway, that's just
No, you're right. You got some valid points there. Like, you guys pressed really, really well, and it did make us unsettled, especially from the back, and even making our midfielders and even some of our forwards play deeper and a lot more deeper than they would have liked. And yeah, I did say on the previous podcast episode of the RBL Talk podcast that after the 2-1 Dortmund loss recap, that we are missing Xavi Simmons' creativity. So, yeah, it's spot on there because we don't really have any other outlet and player to be able to, create the chances and things like that he does. We've got some other good individual players, but they're just not up to his natural abilities.
Because what I felt was once the ball got to that part of the pitch, it was that final ball through to your strikers where it was breaking down for you, and our defense was able to pick that off. So anyway, it is what it is. But going to our side of things, like, the good for us was our press. Got to start there. Our defensive aptitude on the night, in terms of when to press, where to press, how to cover for each other if the press gets broken. Once the ball gets swept from one side of the field, you're reversing it to the other side to get away from the press. How to keep our shape, adjust back, and then settle in. We did really well with that. And that's something where we would normally get caught out. And when I love Ange, but when he was our manager and we're in Europe, we got a couple of doings because we had one game plan. It was press and go hard. And then if that didn't work, press harder. That was pretty much the second thing of it, right? Where, as Strangelove's saying in the comments here, we took a battering from that mob we don't want to talk about. I mean, we've learned from it. We've got some new ideas. We deployed it in Italy, learned from that, and now we've put the attacking and defensive elements together. That's a perfect summary from Strangelove there in terms of we pressed, but then we kept our shape while we were adjusting. We used to get caught out with that in Europe. So our players have started to get that bit of knowledge on how to compete in Europe and how to compete at a high level now that we've been missing for a long time. And there's no longer that tactical naivety in the team as well. So that was something that was really good to me, just to see defensively. We can talk about how good we were with the one-touch passing and going forward. But above all else, defensively, to only concede one goal to you guys, and it was from a corner, I'm very, very impressed by that, especially with your strikers that you've got up front as well, who, yeah, they're off form, but they've got history of putting the teams to the sword. So yeah, it was that was the key thing. The second thing that I want to touch on was the performance of Rio Hatade. I really thought he was, well, I was saying for you guys with missing Xavi Simons, I see Rio playing that role for us, that link-up play he had going forward. It was getting back and helping, but then being that guy in the middle we could get the ball to. Callum McGregor did well, but I want to just give Rio Hatade his flowers here because, yeah, it's one of his, I think it was his best game, in my opinion, that he's ever played for Celtic. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is on our right-hand side of the field, the ever-growing link-up and how it's all working between Nicholas Kuhn, between Arne Engels and Alistair Johnson at right back, and the way those three know, okay, who's going wide, who's going into the channel, who's holding, and the overlap and everything that they're doing, that is just growing. And the one-touch football, and they're not even having a look. Like leading up to Kuhn's first goal, Engels outside of the boot pass without looking, the ball comes and he just flicks it with the outside of the boot to Kuhn, and it's just stood up two of your defenders, and then Kuhn was able to run and do that. So yeah, just the link up from those three, it just gets better and better.
Yeah, those guys are actually three of some of the players that I put down coming up in my recap of the game for the next podcast episode of the who was the best on ground for your best players on the night. For people that listen to the RBL Talk podcast, just before I do what I call a player watch, which is normally at least one player normally. Sometimes I might sneak in a second one if it's an honourable mention, so to speak. And for player watch coming in for you guys for me, it was Nicholas Kuhn, who's also an old RB Leipzig Academy youth player. So that also hurts a little bit. Not going to lie, to get some, to get some. Sorry, go ahead, Jarrod.
The thing with Kuhn that I love is, yeah, he came through your academy, he was at your club for 3 years, and then he got sold and so on and so on. I love it when players actually celebrate against their old clubs. I don't know why. I'm one of those sickos. So
no, look, I like it as well. But for me, it really depends on like the player themselves. So with Nicholas Kuhn doing it, I've got no issue with that whatsoever. But let's say if you spent like 8 to 10 years or 90% of your career or something there, and then you come back or something, then maybe I probably wouldn't. Just depending on if you're left on good terms or not, and who the fan base is and what team you went to. But I normally don't have an issue with it. There's just a rare occasion where it'd be like, you might not as a respectful type thing, but like if you're just like, been at a club for 3 years and you helped them win a trophy or something, and okay, yeah, so what, like you just move on to the the next phase of your career, and yeah, I have no issue with stuff like that as well. So, but no, it hurt a little bit, just knowing like how good this guy was, and just why I put him on player watch, and then then Engels as well. The record signing that I didn't actually know was a record signing for you guys for this season as well. I just saw his stats and watched him, some of how his play was, and I was like, nah, this kid's got some talent. Like you got to be real wary of this guy because like he'll just cut you up in the midfield, and he was one of those players that did that as well. So. We'll go back to some more comments before we go into our liked and best liked players for both sides. We have Rinkatek says it's an easy. We don't have the squad depth. I do agree with that for RB Leipzig's perspective. But look, even if you don't have squad depth, you can't. If this is world football on the biggest stage, we can't turn around and take anyone as an excuse, so to speak. And we've got Strange Love the Doctor says Kun the man with no name. Start playing the Western music. You tell me what that's all about there, Jarrod.
All I know is when he came in, there was people writing him off straight away because he had to get a root canal done and he lost a bunch of weight and everything. So there's a lot of people writing him off. So yeah, I think as a fan base, Celtic fans in general are a little fickle. If you sign a player for decent money and then they don't hit the ground running straight away, there's always someone online somewhere complaining, saying this guy's absolute rubbish, write him off. They don't deserve the shirt. And there was a lot of people saying that about Kun when we first signed him. And yeah, he's off to the races now. But yeah, I don't understand exactly what Strangelove's talking about there, but the whole man with no name sort of thing. Yeah, he was oh, there you go. He's put it there. It's a headline from a German newspaper, Match Report.
Yeah, I don't know which Match Report that one is. Probably one of the most local ones, like Bulai or Kicker or something like that. They're pretty much the main two publications that I know of. There's a couple of others as well around, but yeah, well, that's interesting enough. I don't know. I suppose that the Build. Yep, that's right. There is another one. I was going to say it's one of the news article sites that I have on the podcast homepage on the RBL Talk homepage. So I should know that, but I'm going to put that down to no sleep, 12-hour shift, and it's still getting earlier on the next day as we come closer to getting wrapping this up, because I know that you do have to eventually leave us, Jarrod, this evening or this morning for us. We'll go into the best players that we thought from each side. Did you want to go from who you thought your best players were yourselves and then pick who was what, like as in vice versa, like reverse it, so to speak? Like if I say who I thought was best for RB Leipzig and then who I thought was best for Celtic, or did you want to do it the other way around?
That doesn't bother me. Like our best was, it's kind of a hard one to do because even guys like Yang, who came on later on, who is a bit of a development player for us, came on and did well. So it's kind of a tough one to pick one player, but I think probably our three best would be, and I can't split the top two. So 1A and 1B would be Kun and Maeda.
Oh, Maeda. Okay. Yep.
Not Maeda, sorry. Kun and Hatate. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Okay. Yep. Well, that's still even a little bit surprising to me as well. But anyway,
My third option, because I always go a little left field here, was Austin Tracy. He took a hard knock early on. I thought he was done. And the fact that he's come on, marshaled our defence alongside Carter Vickers. And Carter Vickers went off because he's coming back from injury, moves from his natural left-sided centre-back to right-sided centre-back to play there. So Liam Scales can come in and just shore things up. I just think he needs his name in lights as well. But as I said, there's lots of other players there.
Yeah, so if you would like to get involved with this live stream of the podcast, just let us know. As we're talking about players at the moment, for who the best players were for Celtic and also for RB Leipzig. Whether you are a RB Leipzig fan or a Celtic fan or a neutral, let us know who you thought the best players were for one or both sides. Yeah, so for me, with RB Leipzig, it was very, very hard to pick some good players because majority of them played poor. But, match ratings and all that stuff really doesn't matter these days, the way I look at things. It's what I see on the pitch. Obviously, you got to pick Baumgartner. He was a top player. I'm probably going to go with trying to do top three. I think that Peter Galacci was a little bit unlucky. I'm not going to say that he's one of the top three, but I think he was a little bit unlucky with some of the goals that was conceded against him. I still think that he was quite good throughout the most of the game. Then I'm going to go with Baumgartner. The other one was Kevin Campbell. I felt that his delivery with his crossing, also his working across the ground, front and up and down, you can't, question how good he was there, even though that it didn't work for us out on the day. And then I felt this was the hardest one to pick. I wanted to go with young Chad Bishebu, just for how well he played for the 90 minutes, being such a young lad. But I'm going to go with Antonio Nusa, even though he did make that big missed chance that could have, if he ended up not absolutely just smashing it far and wide over the crossbar, it could have been 2-0 at that early stage in the game, when then it could have been absolutely any score. The momentum could have not swung back so much or anything like that, and we just don't know what it could have been. So from that perspective, we'll go with Baumgartner and Campbell and Antonio Nusa for the best three players for RB Leipzig. Jarrod, who do you think the best RB Leipzig players were from your perspective?
So you've basically taken my top two straight away in Baumgartner and Campbell. But the other one, I couldn't split them, was I really liked Hadara's game. I thought he was very neat on the ball and everything. I thought he was okay, but I'm not saying he's the actual star man, but as I said, I always like to go for that left field one, and I'll give either him or, how do you say it, Henriks? One of those two would probably be
Benjamin Henriks, yeah.
One of those two would probably be the next tier down of guys that I'd want to just give him a pat on the back and say, hey, you gave a good shift even though things didn't go your way. With Gulaci, like you just touched on, I think his problem with the goals wasn't that the last one that he spilled, so that's purely on him. But the first two goals, doesn't matter who was in goal for Kun's first one. That's one of those ones that it looks like it's going wide, so you're hoping it's going to hit the post and stay out. It hit the post and went in. Wouldn't have mattered who was in goal. You could, so you got to give him a break on that, because it wouldn't have mattered if it was Thibaut Courtois or if it was David De Gea or, I don't know, a bunch of other goalkeepers. I don't care who's in goal. They're not stopping that. So the only goal really, and then the last one was our second goal was a press, and we cut you apart with a couple of passes. Actually took an air swing, so the back line got exposed. So I actually don't think the first two goals were his fault. The last one definitely was. So I actually thought he was having a good game until he spilt the ball.
Yeah, likewise. That's why I said I couldn't put him in my top three, because of the last goal, like the error that he did. I mean, no player on the pitch, I don't think, had any errors for an RB Leipzig perspective. But, Peter Galacci, like you said, the first goal, no way. I don't think any goalkeeper in world football was ever going to save that. I'll put it that way. It was such a well-placed shot. And then by the time he goes to react to it, it's like, oh no, this might be something I'm going to have to try to dive to, and it's probably already past him and curling, into the inside of the post there. And then the second one, well, he was in perfect position and everything, and I think he should have had probably a bit better from his defense there. And the fresh area, like you said, really would have put him off as well. That was actually probably the shot that he was expecting from that cross, and he was, positioning was perfect for that. But then when you miss the shot and then it comes behind you on your outside post, well, there's not much you can do about that either. So you're pretty much spot on there, man. From my perspective, obviously, without going, repeating myself, where I thought, look, I'm going to say Kun and Engels straight away. They were great, especially the interplay between them both. Like that's just fantastic. But I want to say a couple of players that who aren't out of those two. And I think that I don't know the name. I think it's Alistair Johnson, your right back. I thought he was really fantastic, very underrated. He was pushed up forward as well, and there's some times where he was even taking shots at goal. Fullback getting into those dangerous positions and then still being able to track back and defend. Like you can't teach that stuff. That's like, you either have it or you don't. And there's not many fullbacks that can be able to do that and then not get exposed. We will also go into some comments as well just before we do wrap things up. So don't worry, folks. Keep them coming through. And then I thought that, which funny enough, I was looking at a couple of websites that had the match ratings. And I thought that Carter Vickers was actually, I think it's how you say it. Is it Carter Vickers? Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. I thought he was actually pretty underrated for out of your centre back there, like two centre backs. I actually thought he was better than Trusty, but that was just me. Okay, he sort of gave us our first goal with the deflection, but any defender was going to deflect that. It's just how it was trying to clear it, and it just scraped off. If I remember correctly, just over the top of his head. So it's not like he just put it on a platter for us, So there's no knock on that performance. And then I actually thought that Hatate was really good. I didn't actually notice until not before you said it today, but just before coming into today that he actually played 90 minutes again, like the game before. So for a bloke to play 90 minutes, so basically 180 minutes, a full game plus added time and penalties and everything like that, a space of a couple of days, that's a fair effort, especially, to score as well. So I'll throw it over to the comments now, just before we do wrap things up, because it is early in the morning and we can't keep Jarrod all day. Although I think a lot of the comments here have been very well received for the first ever recap show, doing a live stream today. Going through, this is a funny one here. Rinkatek. Jarrod, want to swap Kun with Ange Tottenham to Celtic and vice versa? As a little bit earlier, he was saying in the chat to someone else in there that Rinkatek, I dislike Ange at Tottenham. You may have him back.
Okay.
What do you reckon?
That comment about we can have Ange back, with this exact squad now, Ange built the majority of it. Brendan's given him that polish, right? So I don't think this squad right now would work 100 great in Ange's system. We tend to have a bit more, like, not as much like grafters, if that makes sense. Guys are going to get out there and grind and press and work. We can do it, but guys like Yang and a few others off the bench, I don't think would do it. But do I want to swap Kun to Ange? No, because I'm gonna be funny here, have a bit of a laugh, and go, I wouldn't wish that on Kun.
Oh, ouch! Thanks for that.
I've seen talk where, like, Kun's been linked already to be the Mo Salah replacement at Liverpool. Why would he want to go to Tottenham? And I've got friends who are Tottenham fans. That's why I'm saying it, because I've said the exact thing to them to stir them up. So
I thought you were saying Kun to come to RB Leipzig, but if you do if I read the comment correctly, yeah, no, that's right. And Kun would actually be going to Tottenham. So yeah, no comment. I would leave it with that one. Strange Love, the doctor, says these three best players for Celtic was Rio, Mack, and Kun. What about that one, Jarrod?
Could be anyone. You could take, let's be honest, you could take McGregor out. You could put Engels in there, and I'd still be like, yeah, that's a fair shout. You say what you've got there with McGregor there, fair shout. You could put Carter Vickers in there, fair shout. I'm not going to dispute it because there's that many guys who played well.
Very true. And last one from Strange Love, the doctor, says, Maida meant that. Check out the massive smile on his face. I don't know what he means from that. Can you elaborate, Jarrod?
That'd be about a fresh air swing. So
okay.
Second goal, and he swung at it and missed it. You see, as soon as it's happened, like, I don't know if he meant it or it was more of a relief thing. Like, he swung, missed the ball, it goes through, Kun scores, and then he turns around and he's like being spared his blushes for absolutely shanking it and doing it. And he's just having a laugh, like, I'm embarrassed, but I'm happy for my teammates bailed me out here. Could be that.
Yeah, I was going to say that I personally didn't even notice that he had a massive grin on his face, so I'm going to have to replay that and just have a quick look at it. Thanks for that, Strange Love of the Doctor, for pointing that one out. Yeah, look, if he didn't mean it, I reckon that's probably more of a like a, you know, oh, without swearing, I've just missed that, and wait, we scored. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Type reaction as well. So, yes, Strange Love, don't worry, mate. I will be checking it. I still have to do my recap for my podcast as well. So, I'm up to the part where I'm actually analyzing every single goal. So, as I do with my podcast. Well, we'll leave it with a few more minutes or so just before. If you've got any more questions that you'd like to chuck us our way, go ahead right now. Otherwise, we will wrap this up. It's been an absolute pleasure so far to be interacting with all of you live in this first ever RBL Talk first reaction show. Jarrod, we got any closing comments or anything we want to go through?
I just think to the RB Leipzig fans out there, what I'm seeing in the league, like from the games I've looked at leading up to this from you guys and from the performance, there's a lot going for you. You just got to get some players back. Like we had this a month ago where we were struggling with 2 or 3 guys, key players out. Once they get back, have the faith. You'll be right. And keep doing what you're doing in the league because, yeah, someone needs to keep pressure on our Bayern. And, yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing from you guys. And as I said on our preview podcast, I rate Marco Rosa. So, yeah, I don't think he's the problem at the end of the day. So all the best for the season ahead. And thanks for having us on, Justin.
Not a problem, Jarrod. Thank you very much for that. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. We do have one quick question from Strange Love before we do go. The best horror movie, now go. The only thing I can think of is the new Beetlejuice movie. It wasn't too bad.
I'm going to say don't be saying it's Blair Witch because that thing gives me motion sickness.
Okay, well, if you're meaning Strange Love says the Shining for me or The Exorcist, if you're meaning not just released, I thought it was just the movie as in now just released. I'm going to go with an Australian one called The Babadook.
I've got another one for you if you want. Best horror movie, just someone drive past Ibrox on a match day. There you have it.
Thank you very much to everyone who's come and joined in this evening in this RBL Talk first. And thank you to Ballum, to the Strange Love Doctor, Rinkatik, and everyone else that has commented through the live stream today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, Jarrod. I hope to work with you again sometime soon. Don't make yourself a stranger. You can always have a chat with me about football whenever you like. And thank you very much to everyone else for tuning in. I've been Justin Crozer. Until next time, bye-bye for now.